Today we are processing tomato seeds. It's a two-step process, so you have to get the seed out of the fruit first. And we'll squeeze kind of just the juices of the tomatoes into buckets here. And then we'll let those sit for 1 to 3 days until the kind of like jelly coating around the tomatoes starts to break down. And then we'll rinse all of that off and we'll be left with clean seed. For these small batches, all we're going to do is just kind of squeeze out the guts. And I'm left with all the pulp that we would normally eat, but we don't really want that in the fermenting container because anything you put in there you have to rinse out later. So the less pulp and the less skin you get in the fermenting chamber, the easier it's going to be for us later. We've got a nice mold layer, which is a good indicator that a lot of the pulp has kind of broken down and loosened up from the seed. So I'm just going to get in here and get my sensory therapy for the day. Kind of squeeze all these little clumps up, breaking up any large chunks that might be holding seed in there. So like I said earlier, the less stuff we have in here, the easier this process is going to be. The idea here is we've got pulp and tomato juice that we want to remove from the seed, right? Well, you don't want remaining sugars to be on the seed for storage reasons, and we don't want the pulp on there, once again, for storage reasons. So we're using this tall bucket so that we can have a taller water column for things to kind of settle out through. So this is the first time we're filling this up, and we'll probably do this 3 times or so to kind of really rinse everything off. So here we go. Start to see all the seed we want down at the bottom. There they all are. The strainer is really just to save the drain. Yeah, so when we're looking in there, you'll kind of see some seeds really want to float, some seeds really want to sink. Some seeds take a while to make up their mind and they're going to kind of dance around a little bit. We want the densest seeds, that's what we want. So the ones that are taking too long to make up their mind, we might end up pouring them off, but that's going to be okay. So we'll have tiny pieces of pulp coming out, maybe some immature empty seeds, but once again, that big cluster of good seeds still hanging out at the bottom. So there's still some pulp in there, but the next step we go through is going to get rid of a lot of that. So we're about to rinse it through a strainer. So here we have mostly good seed. We just want to continue rinsing the seed and continue cleaning it. Like I said earlier, you don't want any of those residual sugars or starches or anything that was in the tomato to be on these seeds. And there are still some pieces of pulp in here, which should get rinsed off through the screen, which is very satisfying to me to watch. We dumped out the seeds onto a coffee filter and put them in these strainers just to help them dry out. What we found is that tomato seeds, as they dry, get really like stick to whatever they're on. So coffee filters they'll peel off really easily from, but the strainer itself, it's a mess. So we put them on coffee filters, put them in the strainers to dry, and then I was just kind of smearing them around, trying to get them to a like single layers, just so they dry a little faster. Because at this point, we want them to dry out so they don't decide to germinate if they were left to be moist too long. So these are seeds that are already processed and cleaned, and then some of them are like, as they dry, they'll be really clumpy, so some of them declumped already, but others are still needing to be broken apart. Once we set the seeds out to dry, we'll leave them drying here for a few days to a week until they're done drying like we kind of saw earlier. And then from there, we'll bag them up. And these seeds were grown to increase varieties in our collection. So they'll probably have to go through another winnowing process because we didn't get all the light immature seeds out in our initial processing. Then make our way back into our collection.